It was Thomas, the hype tank train engine we were looking at in that last game. From the beginning, we saw it happen on stream. Well, let's look at it again. Making the last-ditch effort decision to contest one of the strongest spots on the map, to contest the first-place team, and win it without anyone going down. My goodness.
And you know, Anas tweeted that they were going to be landing here for every single event once the place was actually initially put into the game. And they didn't really hold up to that. However, we've just seen Anas on Twitter retweet it saying we're landing here, and this was clearly forthcoming of that because they landed and they popped off big time.
Yep, and they continued it all the way to endgame, a dominant showing of just staying on height, a clutch crash pad to make sure Thomas HD got that bandage cannon. Then he had position. He goes for a super shockwave. He gets mid-air shots down. That Stark energy rifle you can only really get at those dropships, but at the same time also at Stark Industries. That's where they landed. They got the win. Flick went down. It's all good. They had complete trust in their last man who was clutching all the way towards the top. It was Thomas's show at the very end of the game, but it was this trio just playing so well and making the best decisions to keep their tournament dream alive.
It looked like there was some baby oil on the low ground there because so many teams all just fell at the exact same time going down. But Thomas HD, you can see the huge shockwave up there, and using the Stark rifle, kind of like Shayo mentioned there, has really good accuracy from the hip fire. So while he's shockwaving, he's going to be able to hit those shots like that and pick up that big Victory Royale easily.
I just can't believe it. Just watching it back, it's like, dude, the confidence that Thomas has, and we were kind of talking right before we came back. It's like, Thomas, you've been in this situation before. You know what you need to do, and he's just so comfortable. For him, it looks so effortless because in these times, he knows he can clutch. There's no fear. It's just, we're going. We're gonna walk forward. We're gonna find the victory out, and we're gonna push ourselves closer and closer up to the top. I am so excited that this could be happening. I'm very scared to watch these trios fight it out again because, again, it may not go the same way. It may be very different. We'll have to see. Fortnite fam, we're going to go to a break. When we return, the final 4 games and inevitably our new FNCS Trios champions. We'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Come back. You won't want to miss it.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? Reese back with another video, and in today's video I want to cover height. We're going to be using Zayt, Saf and Stretch as an example, and one of their games where they picked up a Victory Royale from Qualifier 3 Round 3 of the FNCS. Across the 12 games, these guys picked up 4 Victory Royales, and they hold height in an absolutely textbook way, so let's dive into that. Firstly, just for super basic, height is when you're on the very highest layer of the moving zones in endgame. And this is powerful for many reasons. Firstly, because you use the least amount of materials to traverse the moving zones, you have a ton of angles on players to shoot down on, you have the best opportunities for healing, and you only need to worry about players below you, so you don't have to cover your left, right, and above, which you'll have to on low and mid ground layers. I like to categorize the art of playing high ground into 2 separate categories: claiming and maintaining. Claiming high ground does not start in the end game, it starts much earlier in the mid game, and in this game in particular, Zayt, Saf and Stretch try to claim the high ground as early as the 3rd zone. You can see them take up a large amount of space horizontally here, with Zayt and Saf building over onto another area so they have 2 separate points of high ground. Later on in the game, when the 4th zone appears, they're not actually inside of this zone, so they wait late until other players have already built up there, and then they all shockwave over and claim the high ground there. The only reason that these guys get to the highest layer in 4th is because they'd already set themselves up on a higher layer in the 3rd zone. This allows them simply to just shockwave over and claim it. From here on out, our team's goals switch up from claiming high ground to maintaining it. Really, they're not looking for a huge amount of eliminations here. Their main goal is just to ensure they are the only ones on height. They do this by shooting at other players who have built up in other areas of the zones around equal levels of them, and also by looking down, looking at players who are 1 or 2 layers below them, and pressuring these guys to make it seem like there's no chance that they're going to claim height over Zayt, Saf and Stretch. You can see that the 5th zone is almost max distance from where they are now, so this is where Zayt, Saf and Stretch are going to need to start claiming the high ground again. Zayt hits a beautiful snipe on one of the opposing players at the opposite height, so this is an immediate flag that our team should now just go and grab that height, because these guys are going to be on the defensive, trying to pick up the res on this teammate, and aren't going to be focusing on maintaining that high ground. What Zayt does is he actually shockwaves over to another layer of builds and then builds out into the zone to create a different area of high ground. Then, once this is solidified, Saf and Stretch both then come over onto this high ground, and then Zayt actually goes over to the other layer of high ground where he sniped the player and builds up here. This is exactly the same thing we saw in the third zone, where they've claimed 2 separate layers of high ground. They do this because they give
That's somebody else's phone, Michaela. I restored my finger. I have restored my finger. Babe. 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 Babe.
Right now as we're getting to closer and closer. This is game 9. We have a total of 4 left, including this one. We're seeing a lot of teams now going for those home run dingers. They're going for those, I guess, mid-pitch shots towards goal at the moment, going all for nothing, because that is what we have here. Everything has to be put on the line. So that's why you're seeing this. Now the question is Mongraal Mitro Tayson alive? Are they still up? Can they still build on their lead? Because already that gap is closing.
And one thing here in particular as well, if you do get eliminated early, I guarantee you need to have somebody going back, doing your homework, and finding a secondary spot, because there's only so many games where you're going to be comfortable taking this type of pressure. It happens every single time up on the leaderboard, and now swinging over, we see Mitro and Tayson on their feet, 2 elims in Tayson's hand, but time and time again, we have talked about it. This trio struggles without Mongraal. They have yet to find any amount of success when he goes down early. He is their playmaker, and despite just how strong the other two in their own right, it seems like they really struggle to find ground as a duo.
it's so interesting to see this change of drop spots. I mean, the biggest areas of drop spots fights has been Retail, Misty, Steamy, Lazy, and Dunes. And so essentially throughout this entire grand finals, I mean, Stark's Industry has been chill. Chill vibes all around as Hen picks up a confirmation in the Elim feed. So Hen is now finding his footing. Hen, another rising star in the EU side from Become Legends. Now, Tayson and Mitro, their main objective, you may say, is, of course, get Mongraal back, reboot him back from the reboot ban, but it goes beyond just having him back. He is their ultimate closer. He has the most elims in this grand final. He is such a dangerous player, and together as a trio, you've been seeing the results, and that is why they're on top of the board here with 186 points going into this match.
And one of the key things they're doing right now, knowing they already have the 2 eliminations, and also compared to every other game, this is so much of a sparser game. 78 players, 77 players.
Wow.
When before in these situations, we've seen upwards of 91. They're hanging out in the side of the zone. They know there's more than enough bandages, more than enough med kits. They have a bandage bazooka as well. They're just trying to hang out and wait for this reboot van, knowing that the priority is, if they have the card, getting Mongraal back on his feet. It is the only thing that matters, because their potential for picking up points goes up so incredibly high. And here comes the play. And notice how they waited until the zone was pulling too, so everyone else left. They have excess white heals. They're going to try and get as much through. This is an incredibly intelligent play, because if they had gone and done the reboot beforehand, the other teams who are still there, who are still hanging out or waiting for this top trio to leave, would have heard that sound and effectively would have been a dinner bell.
This is the ultimate mental check. Every champion goes through adversity. That's what makes you a champion. Like Dwayne Wade said, that 3-time NBA champion. Fall 7 times, get up 8. So it's now in time for Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson to stand back up and let the EU region know, yeah, you could send out your tweets, you could come and contest, but the ultimate tweet that's going to echo in eternity is that screenshot of you being on top of the leaderboard, saying that you are the FNCS Trios champion. And that is what's on the line for this trio.
And a good job. We talked about it. Hey, they might not be getting out of here with all the spoils, but they got 2 points. They're not going to be under threat of the initial storm surge, and Mongraal is on his feet. That's all that matters. Yes, the white HP is going to be a little wanting. Yes, they're going to be lacking on shields, but because of the bandage cannon and because they're doing such a late rotation, there's going to be a minimal amount of pressure on them here. So this is realistically going to allow them coast to at least a little bit of a safer endgame. And if you don't completely wipe them out, it's not good enough.
It kind of reminds me of the World Series here in the 2020 over here in the States. I know this is an EU region broadcast. In that World Series, the Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, went on to win the whole thing. They were mostly known as a home run hitting team, but then they started playing small ball, going for singles, doubles, triples to accrue their runs. So now it's going to be a small ball game for Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson. They cannot go for that big home run with that big old, according to Twitter now, Starks equals victory royale. It's not going to be that simple for them, but like I said, a champion's ride is going to go through some troubles. Now a champion going through troubles is Benji, Lecce, and Savage, who have not yet to kind of hold on to their day in day 2, but it could happen right here. Benji with a big time 200 back to back, and now they know Benji's here to fight, and Benji's able to clutch it up solo style, but man, clutching up this early in the game all the way to end game, that's going to be a huge story to tell for Benji.
That is a huge ask, but if anybody can step up to that plate, it's him, and he's going to get the pick, know he's clear of Storm Surge, and then just get out of dodge, knowing that rotating past him would have taken him past Andelix, Exqueeze, and Janice there. So instead, going to move towards the north side, try and find the little bit of a more sparse, a little bit of a safer rotation, finds a big pot in there as well. So his loadout not looking awful, and he's got plenty of excess utility. So, I mean, he's set up for... And that was it just 2 slurpfish hanging around there?
Hey, I mean, sometimes you just walk around and you vulture your way and you get some nice loot. Sometimes, you know, Lady Luck is on your side. And now that's what's going to be required for Benji. As you can see, there's a dangerous trio looming in the distance. This is their second place team in the grand finals, is Analexianis and Xweez, still really super behind here. We're talking about 40 plus points behind our first place of Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson. And you know, their work that they did, they conditioned this leaderboard Sundown, and all they have to do, you mentioned it time and time again, is just be on your feet, rack up those placement points. You already are going to be safe because you don't have to deal with Storm Surge, because you did have a very contested drop, as we saw there for that brief moment. And now, you know what? When you're on top of the board this way, the rest of the E region don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to walk around that someone was able just to put triple digits on them easily. They don't want that. You have a target on your back now, and the question is, how are you going to respond to that?
And the one thing to note in particular, too, is their inability to capitalize on the one opportunity they got while getting the placement points and while getting some eliminations. It's not quite enough because Mongraal and Co have 17 more eliminations than the next closest trio. These guys are still fragging out. They have 41 elims. They're the second highest, and they have a 7.2 placement. But the fact that Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson are beating them in both of those categories, with the most important aspect being those 3 victory royales. Every single one of those victory royales is just a base plus 5 points. So from the victory royales alone, that's plus 15. The difference in elimination gives them plus 17. And then they also have a better average placement score coming through there. So you have to find a huge performance on top of them going down. And again, with 4 matches left, it's still possible. But every single match that passes makes it more and more unlikely and more likely that everyone else is fighting for second.
And at the same time, you have Kenzel, Wolfies, and CRR who are right behind you. They're very close to up and your right here and get into second place. Every placement here matters. We're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars of prize pool money on the line, and that is what's at stake for all the other trios. We kind of joked, we kind of say, hey, Mongraal and Mitro and Tayson statistically are so far ahead. It's just a battle for second and third. But now that we're seeing that the EU region is stepping up, they're now landing at start, multiple trios. The question is, can Tayson lead Mongraal and Mitro to a better pasture when it comes to these kind of contestations, as now we see Tayson now trying to get a snipe in, and look at them, they're still being aggressive. Granted, they just left Shambles Town. They're still trying to do their best to enter that champions row.
I'm very questionable about drawing any attention to yourself right now.
I know,
We've seen they
dangerous.
don't have excess shields. You're making a rotation through the open, but they say, Sundown, don't you know who we are? We feel comfortable with the lead. We feel like we need a refresher here. Let's go box to box. We're some of the best in the world here. Mongo providing the support there with the burst rifle, as Tayson leading the charge there, the E11 player, straight into the box. Forget box to box. He's inside the box. Mitro knocks Smudge. Pricolino goes down, and in the blink of an eye, 23 teams to 22 teams, well above Storm Surge. But we talked about calling attention to yourself, and what happens? They were able to get the match, but now it's going to be on Mongraal to hold off the lobby focus, and everyone should know that's them. There was no other action. They should be pouring the shots in. Tayson is down. Mongraal is down. Mitro, no shields and just the white HP to his name. You would assume that everyone would just be pouring in the bullets right now and not giving him an opportunity. They need to capitalize on this, and there it is. Down they go. 21st. For Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson. They get 6 points, but again, that door that looked pretty firmly shut, deadbolted and had a lock on it, well, maybe there's a little bit of light.
Rises against Regina George, and that's right there. All of a sudden, the lobby focus just decided, enough, Mongo, Mitro, Tayson, enough. We're going to put you in your place for the time being. But, hey, that place is on top, man. They're still feeling good. There's still another ultimate mental check for them to deal with, and Kenzel has a lot to deal with. Kenzel now has to be solo, the back-to-back DreamHack champion, which was a solo tournament. That was an amazing ride, and Kenzel getting that signature victory on his resume showed the world, showed the EU region that he is a strong player. He's going to have a strong performance right here already. Benji with the biggest ask. Now we have Kenzel with the biggest ask.
Now you can see he's currently sitting in third place, but if anybody's able to make a play like this into a 50-50 by himself,
Too big to ask.
And now we're on to the next trio as he gets beamed out of the sky. The bouncer shockwave not executed well enough. He says, how tall do you have to be to ride the ride? Well, regardless, the two-time DreamHack champion swatted it down there. So we're going to hop on over to another trio who's looking to capitalize on the opportunity. We have Gamer Origin, Deceptos, Become Legends Hens, and Navi Patrick. Again, we've kind of talked about it a little bit. Hen has really been the fulcrum for this team. He's been the playmaker, and if they're able to keep him on his feet, they have plenty of opportunities to make a splash. The issue is they struggle in concluding their mid-game fights quickly,